Hi there. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Danielle Liddick, and I am a career coach in the Career Enrichment Network here in the College of the Liberal Arts. Today is our alumni career conversation, Careers in Human Resources. With me today, I have my colleague, Dana Wenger. She is Student and Alumni Relations Coordinator, and Dana will assist with moderation of the Q&A. So I want to encourage you to please post your questions at any time. We have three great alumni panelists with us to speak about their career journey and to provide helpful information and advice for fellow Penn Staters about this industry. I'm going to begin by reading our first alumni bio, and we will continue to read all three of them. And we do have some questions prepared to ask if needed, but again, I want to encourage you, please post any questions you may have for our panelists so they can answer all of the questions that you have today. So our first alumni panelist here is Patrick McIntyre. Patrick graduated from Penn State in 2016 with a Master of Science in Human Resources and Employment Relations. From there, he accepted a role in the HR rotational program at Air Products and Chemicals, a global Fortune 500 industrial gas manufacturer headquartered in Allentown, PA. Since then, Patrick has had the opportunity to work in a variety of different HR roles, supporting leaders, employees, and projects across the globe. His current role is Global Manager, Talent Management, Career and Succession, where he focuses on creating programs and tools to help leaders identify top talent and develop them for key roles that meet both the employees' career aspirations and the needs of the business. Thanks so much for being here, Patrick.
Thanks for having me.
Good afternoon. I'm here to introduce Erin Mullen. Erin received her bachelor's degrees in Spanish and Global and International Studies, a minor in Labor and Employment Relations, and a certificate in English as a second language from the Pennsylvania State University. Erin graduated as a student marshal for the College of the Liberal Arts in the class of 2015. Erin is a SHRM Senior Certified Professional and was recently recognized as a 2025 HR Person of the Year nominee. Erin is Vice President of People and Culture at Congreso de Latinos Unidos, a nonprofit organization in Northeast Philadelphia. She leads the organization's Human Resources, Talent Development, and Security departments. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. The next panelist is Sarah Bowling-Gallen. Sarah is a 2016 graduate of Pennsylvania State University, where she earned a BS in Labor and Employment Relations and an MS in Human Resources and Employment Relations. Sarah currently serves as a manager and talent business advisor within the professional services industry. In her role, Sarah partners with senior leaders to drive talent strategy, organizational effectiveness, and employee experience initiatives. Her work focuses on translating complex business needs into scalable talent processes, supporting areas such as workforce strategy, performance management, organizational change, and employee relations. Prior to her current role, Sarah worked in HR business partnership and consulting roles supporting talent strategy, change management, and workforce planning across global organizations. Sarah has extensive experience in organizational change management and talent operations, helping large organizations implement new technologies, improve processes, and navigate workforce transformations. Thanks so much for being here, Sarah.
No problem.
So Patrick, Erin, Sarah, I would like all of you to please introduce yourself in your own words. And how did you decide on your career journey? To start things off, can we just maybe go in the order of introduction? So Patrick, and then
Sure.
Erin, and then Sarah.
Sure. Thanks so much for the introduction. And thank you all so much for spending time to be with us here today. I think for me, such a big part of my Penn State experience was really interacting with both the alumni network and all the career services resources that are on offer. So I have degrees from a school other than Penn State, and I'll just say that the environment and the resources here, it's not like this everywhere, right? So I'm very grateful for it, take advantage, and so I'm really excited to be back here with you all. So yeah, Patrick McIntyre. So I think introducing myself in my own words, really is somebody who has been on a great career journey working in HR that Penn State really helped set me up for. I am in my current role really focused on helping develop people to be their best and also able to meet the goals of the organization. And that's really what drew, some of the things that drew me to the field of HR. One, just I've always been very interested in businesses, how they're run, how are they making money, how are they losing money, and then I've also been very interested in the people side. How do people think? How do people operate? And so HR really kind of marries those things together, right? How can you identify the right people, develop them, put them in a position to succeed? That also helps to, make successful businesses. So that's one. I think two is just the sheer variety, right? So when you think about human resources, there's so many different ways you can go in an HR career. You can be focused on recruiting, talent management, workforce planning, employment law, compensation and benefits. The list goes on and on. I'm somebody who cannot fathom doing the same thing every single day in a career for 30, 40 years, whatever. So HR has given me so many great experiences, a lot of different variety and new experiences and things to learn. So I've loved that about it. And 10 years in, I still feel that to this day.
Thanks so much.
So I'm Erin Mullen. I am the Vice President of People and Culture at Congreso de Latinos Unidos. In terms of how I got started into my career journey, when, as you may have heard from my bio, I minored in labor and employment relations. And so my primary major and focus was being able to utilize my Spanish speaking degree and abilities. And so with that, HR kind of fell into what I somewhat knew of what I wanted to do with my degrees at after college. I think for me, that was the most daunting feeling was, okay, 4 years of school at Penn State, you have your regimen, you have your routine, and then you're out into the world and you're like, okay, this is adult life. Where do I start? Where do I begin? And so similar to what Patrick shared, I'll share too, that Penn State Network was the absolute best platform for me to just get my feet on the ground and just, connect with folks to say, okay, what are people doing? Where can I go from here? So, the fact that these programs are offered and panelists are joined to with all of you is really fantastic opportunity for everybody. So please do continue to tap into that. So back to my journey within human resources. I knew coming out of Penn State that I wanted to utilize my Spanish speaking skills in a way where I could utilize them on a daily basis, not just like in a classroom teaching the same thing to non-native speakers. So with that, I actually, before I found my role specifically in HR, and again, even then, as Patrick mentioned, there's many different avenues that HR has in and of itself. So I was really fortunate to be able to tap into my Spanish speaking skills to use that to my advantage and get an outlook of every single aspect of HR. Because when I graduated Penn State, found my full-time job through a Penn State connection, and with that, I was the only person at a large for-profit organization that had like 60,000 employees across the US, and many of whom were Spanish speakers, nobody in-house at their corporate office to be able to translate and interpret things. So that's really how I got started within the field of HR. And again, that just exposed me to all aspects HR. And, I really had a skill set for the employee relations side of things. And that launched me further into just my career path and ultimately being led, currently to Vice President of People and Culture.
Thanks so much. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here and speak with you today. I'm Sarah Bowling-Gowan. I'm in like a name transition, so bear with me there. My work computer still says Bowling, but I am changing my name over to Gowan. So I work for Deloitte as a talent business advisor, and previously did consulting work there. Um, and like I'm going to echo what Patrick and Aaron both said. I think it's really interesting. Patrick and I went through the same master's program at the same time. And if you look at our careers, we've done very different things, but also similar things, right? I really started out in the campus recruiting space, right? So I was going around to universities and bringing people over to the first company that I was with. I hated it; it wasn't for me. And that's what's great about HR is that you can find your niche and find what you like to do within it, and you're not, you don't go to college for 4 years or 5 in my case, and um, find something that you're stuck in that you don't love. So I was fortunate enough and said, like, why don't I give consulting a shot and went and did change management consulting for a while, and then wanted to go back into like a core HR, like business partner role. So I too love the business with the people side of things. I think that it's really an area that's interesting is how do we position our people to make sure that the business is able to operate and work. And that's really where I've navigated to in my career. And I'm really fortunate within this profession that ability. And then if I get bored in a year or 2 years, I can switch over to something else and it'll be just as much fun. So really fortunate that been able to kind of pivot a couple times in my career early on.
Wonderful. Danielle, there is a cute question in the Q&A. First of all, it's so great to hear all your different pathways to being in this field. It's wonderful so far. And I encourage you students to ask questions in the Q&A. One says there are so many different specializations of HR. How do you choose the one that's the best for you? Would anyone want to start with that one?
I can go first. I don't think I have, honestly, and I think that that's what's so great about HR is right now I'm doing the business partner role and I'm loving it. And in the future, if I wanted to go back into change management, I 100% could do that. I could go into training, I could go into different things, and I think for me, I never wanted to specialize. So I didn't feel pressure to pick one. Rotational roles are great for that, where you can kind of get like a little taste of everything. I kind of did it the hard way, honestly, because I kind of switched roles to do it. But for me, at least, I had some interest out of school in what I wanted to do and what I thought I'd be good at. And I was really wrong, right? So the ability to kind of pivot and say, okay, like, what am I more interested in? And being able to get some of those experiences. Consulting really helped me with that. I did a lot of different things when I was a consultant, and in the HR realm. So I don't know that you have to. And if you do, I think getting some internships is a great idea to learn what you are good at and what you're not. You're not going to know until you do it. Honestly, you're gonna have an idea, but it's really hard to get a feel for it till you're out in the workforce.
Yeah, I'll add on to that as well and just say, I know for me you know, there were times in my career where I questioned like, is this what I want to stick to, right? And there are certainly seasons where I've had that, and not only with, you know, with what I've done within HR, but even when looking at other agencies where you're like, you know what? Sarah mentioned in her experience, she had a very dramatic you know, first job experience, and I think we all have those stories. I too had a similar situation where I was not thrilled. Initially I was thrilled, and then it got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm at the end of the road. I don't foresee a future here, and even that is a journey and a plunge in and of itself. So, what I would suggest is, a lot of the courses that Penn State offers throughout the College of Liberal Arts, but especially in labor employment relations, you find a lot of what interests you through those classes that you take. And not only that, but also knowing your skill set, what aligns with you, that can certainly help you kind of choose, okay, which direction do I want to go in the field of HR? If you're somebody who's, within HR, if you're not very great with conflict resolution and you like to avoid those things and you're more so like, hey, I'm a numbers person. I like data. I like to see that and how I can change that. Then perhaps, a data aspect of HR is right for you. So only those things and a lot of that you get from jumping into it with experience. So you don't know until you try. And one thing that I'll share just in the course of my career journey over the years was some of the best advice that I was given when in transition of, just having those, is this career the right for me or is this company the right for me? The best piece of advice that I was given at that time was if you're looking to change your job, right? So if you're in HR, say for under leaves management, and you're like, you know what, I want to try payroll side of HR. The best advice I was given was that if you're looking to do that change, do it internally with the company that you're currently with rather than jumping to an organization without that experience. So get all the experience where you are before making that change.
Yeah. Phenomenal advice from both Aaron, you and Sarah. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you said. I mean, I think my overall message with that is you don't need to have everything 100% figured out, whether you're just graduating, whether you're 10 years in, whether you're 20 years in, et cetera. It's really all a part of the journey. I don't want to sound corny with that. Are there things that you can do on the front end that I would definitely recommend? Absolutely. Part of the reason I chose the Penn State Master's program is getting exposure to so many different areas about HR that I hadn't really encountered, right? So being able to take classes on benefits, recruiting, behavioral psychology, et cetera. So you can, as Aaron mentioned, you can use that to kind of start getting an idea. Another good idea is types of roles that you think you're interested in. Leverage the alumni network. Think about people in your network who are in those roles. Set up a quick call with them. Hey, what do you like? What are the challenges? What do you wish you knew type stuff. Job shadowing, right? But then at the end of the day, you might do all of that and something sounds great. And then you get to that first job and you say, you know what? This isn't it. But frankly, that's as valuable a learning experience as anything. I've encountered that in my personal career in HR, and then in my day job, kind of advising leaders and employees on career development. Understanding what drains you is just as important as understanding what is the type of work that energizes you, right? As Sarah mentioned, there are rotational programs, right? So that's how I came into the field. I'm fortunate. I came into the company and they let me try out a bunch of different departments. Some of it, man, this is great. I'm having so much fun. Other stuff, man, if I have to do another day of this, right? But like knowing that moving forward just kind of helps me understand more and more where I want to go in my career, right? And I think Aaron mentioned a great point too, because I was in that very situation where I was in something that frankly I wasn't crazy about, and I was fortunate to be in a situation where I had a manager who I felt I could be open and honest with, and said, to be honest, I love this company, I love working for you, but this particular role isn't really energizing me. Would you be willing to work with me to find something else in a different department, right? That kind of meets what I'm looking for. And I did that, and that led to my next role, which was such a key part of my development. And I'm still on very good terms with that previous manager and actually still work with him very often. So, the message is you're never stuck. Right? You don't have to have everything 100% figured out. And as the two before mentioned, there's always ways to pivot and keep moving on your journey. And everybody's journey is going to look different, right? So don't feel like you have to follow this same template 100%. Everybody's different. And that's what's so cool and so interesting about a career in HR, in my opinion.
Oh my goodness. So much fantastic information. And we had one question asked so far. I love it. Thank you all so much. The next question that was posed in the Q&A, which by the way, there are a ton of them coming in. So we're going to try to do our best to combine if we can at some times. And we will try to get through them all if we can. But one of the questions was, are there any current HR internship spots available in companies for which you work? But also, where do you recommend students who are interested within HR look for open opportunities? And this could be for internship, for full-time. Do you have any tips or guidance in that aspect at all, in addition to with your organizations? Whomever would like to go first. Patrick, you want to go first since you're not muted?
Sure. Yeah, so the first question answers a short one. Unfortunately, we do not currently have any HR internships that we're hiring for. I mean, I'll absolutely let Danielle and the crew know if that changes. Always trying to get more Penn Staters in the department for sure. Yeah, in terms of where to look, I think my motto when I was in school at Penn State was talk to everybody, right? So thinking about and also think about your own style and what works best, right? So for me, I'm an introvert, right? So the big Bryce Jordan Center, 5,000 people career fair, that wasn't really a situation that I thrived in. But my grad program did a nice job of bringing recruiters kind of directly to our program. So they'd have a more intimate info session with maybe like 10 people. You can actually get some one-on-one time to talk to people. I literally went to every one of those, even companies that I had no idea about or just sounded outrageous. I thought, what can hurt from talking to them? And I had some situations where I walked out and said, man, I would never want to work for that company. Others, wow, I had including my current company, right? We're an industrial gas manufacturer. I had no idea what this company was or what it did until I took a chance to talk to the recruiter who came to Penn State. And I kind of left that session blown away, and that started me on my journey here. And if worse comes to worse, you get free pizza, right? Which is always quite valuable as a broke student. There's just leveraging the network. So career services, always had resources that could provide me or could give me a heads up. Hey, this company is coming, or they're about to post this internship or whatever. So just use all the resources that are available to you. Line Link as well, just connecting with alumni. Even if they don't have a job opportunity, maybe they have some knowledge or something they can give you to kind of help you on your journey and your search.
I can go next. I have no idea what's out there, to be honest with you. The company's so big. I don't do recruitment. That's like somebody else's forte. So I would always say, look online. They're going to have whatever's open is posted online. Number two, it really depends on what you're looking to do. I've never seen like a true HR intern internally in Deloitte, like where I sit at. I'm internal, right? So I support the business. But I know that we do internships for consulting HR or, human capital consulting type of roles. But the campus recruitment team that comes to Penn State is very specialized. They're very fantastic. I'd recommend that you connect with them. For other companies, like I was a huge nerd when I was at Penn State. I was like a part of the career services team. Like I was like doing resume reviews and the whole 9 yards. And I found that team incredibly helpful. They do the huge career fair, but they do smaller stuff too. And then like Patrick said, like a part of the master's program, like I got all my internships at Penn State, I got through our master's program or the LER school, when I wasn't doing the master's degree yet. And that's how I got my first job out of school. That's how I connected with folks at Deloitte, was through my like the alumni network. So, I would lean on those resources. They're fantastic. They're great. And it is finding your niche of like what works for you. I also was not a big career fair person. I didn't do well with those. So the info sessions are nice. Go get your pizza. And as a recruiter in a past life, I will say like the recruiters do better at bringing folks in out of those career session info sessions too. I would say just because they are smaller, even as a recruiter, the big career fairs get very overwhelming. So those targeted info sessions are the ticket.
That's great to hear, Sarah, because we do push that for students to attend
Yeah,
those
they're way better.
sessions.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Erin, thank you. I saw that you answered a couple Q&A questions. There was one directed to you about Spanish, but there is kind of a couple that are related in there, and it is in your perspective, what certifications, if any, like SHRM or other, are most desirable today and in the future, and like how valuable is the SHRM certification?
Yeah, I find it incredibly valuable. And not only from just what you learn in terms of just the different core pillars that they have as part of the learning, because, there's things from law side, from business acumen things, from, interacting with people. So there's a whole entity within, like I mentioned, there's the pillars within the certification itself. And so I truly value mine, not only from the education that I learned from it, but also from the additional network that it opens you up to. It also, helps in terms of the marketing component when you're looking to market yourself, either, in the industry or just, within additional roles too. Oftentimes I see, I know Patrick and Sarah had gone through the 5-year program at Penn State to come out with the master's in HR. One of my siblings actually did the same at Penn State and got her 5-year master's degree with HR. And so, that's incredibly valuable. And I would say if you're not looking to obtain the master's, then those certifications certainly do well to position you into a place where, all right, I might not have this master's degree, but I do have this certification to, say like, I know what I'm talking about. I've done the background work to get to where I am to prove my worth prove my knowledge and skill set through it. So absolutely, I find it incredibly valuable.
Thank you so much. Before I move on to the next one, I just wanted to confirm that no one else has any additions to that. Okay.
I'll share too. In addition to that, it's been super resourceful for me. And this last year, I've been working with I work for a nonprofit. And so in the last year and a half, it's been a crucial network to be able to tap into from legal side in terms of how to help my nonprofit stay aligned with executive orders that come out throughout any administration. That's been extremely helpful. There's a whole support group, and they have tons of resources to help you get your organization prepared to where they need to be.
Our next question from the chat is about AI. I'm not surprised there's something in there about that. This attendee asks, what are your thoughts on the job outlook of HR positions considering AI, and what fields of HR do you think are quote unquote safer than others?
I will say HR as a whole is a very safe spot when it comes to AI. There are, even looking at the laws behind AI, both from, state, localities, even just in terms of how folks set up their own policies internally, you need a human behind all of it. And who puts the human in human resources? We do, right? So it's absolutely crucial. Not only, I see HR as a safe space, if you will, in terms of the world of AI. Yes, there may be things that AI can help replace in terms of, I know some institutions utilize AI to screen a lot of their resumes that come in, right? But at the end of the day, you still need to have a human being behind all of that. So it's also incredibly helpful, incredibly valuable to folks within the space to utilize and tap into AI. I know I heavily utilize it, in terms of even just helping me prepare for a presentation. It's like, you know what? I wear a million other hats and I don't have enough time to like put something together. So, put something in there for me or analyze this data and, super helpful in that aspect.
Yeah, I would echo that. So our company, like just about every other company, is heavily pushing use of AI, and the HR function is no exception. But I think at the end of the day, I totally agree that HR is probably one of the safest places to be, because of that need for critical thinking, exercising judgment. Even before the AI days, back when I was in an HR business partner role, I would always kind of joke that if HR was all about just policy, black and white, yes or no, none of us would have jobs. We'd just be able to hand that handbook to the employee manager, say, here you go, this is what you do, right? But so much of working in HR, part of what makes it interesting and part of why I think we're safe is working in the gray. It's judgment calls, it's providing guidance when the way forward is unclear, when you're balancing the needs of the organization and the needs of an employee and being fair and in compliance and like a zillion other things. Like I truly, AI, can it be a huge tool to help with those things, help with some analysis? Absolutely. But without humans behind it, sense checking, making the final call, I don't foresee an organization like that. Now, having said that, is work going to change? Absolutely. Do we have opportunities to really automate a lot of the more mundane, kind of tedious administrative type work that takes up a lot of our time? Yeah. But what is that going to do? That frees us up to have more of those critical conversations, to be able to think more strategically and have those discussions, with senior leadership. So I feel pretty good about this career path, regardless of everything that's changing with AI.
Thank you all. Dan and I are scanning these questions and trying to combine some because there are so many. I saw a couple that were kind of similar. One of them is, well, number one, thank you so much for being here. You guys are fantastic. But this question says, do you have any advice for someone who's interested in an HR career but would be pivoting from a different profession? And similarly, but not so similarly, what would you say to someone wanting to go into HR that does not have a traditional HR related degree? Do you have any perspectives or advice on either of those things?
Yeah. Can I just say in many spaces that I am, in terms of functions that I attend and conferences that I go to, specifically for HR and just other purposes, I think the amount of times that I hear somebody went to school for HR and established their career in HR is way fewer than people who said, no, I started out as a manager or, I started out doing finance or something completely opposite and they found their calling in HR. So that oftentimes when I'm in spaces tends to be the key aspect there in that, they didn't have a formalized degree in HR and they came from a totally different background and a totally different industry. And there's a lot, that's really what I see as the beauty of HR is that you can really come from anywhere and establish yourself in the field. There's a lot of skills that are translatable in the field of HR. As a manager, as somebody who may even just be working in especially in roles that are highly customer service facing, those are roles that are, put you in a key space for HR. By way of example, using myself, I was a barista on campus at Penn State, and I utilized that experience to say, hey, like, yes, I've encountered many different situations where I've had to de-escalate customers, or I've had to like say, oh, okay, forgive me, I'm in the wrong, or what have you. And so those aspects there and those roles are easily translatable skills into the field of HR. So I would say it's not impossible. And like I said, that is more so the case scenario that I find when I'm meeting and networking with folks that they did not start out in a traditional HR career.
Thank you. Fantastic. We do have a couple questions that are kind of similar as well. One attendee asks if you have any tips for resumes or cover letters to help them stand out in their application. And another, what do you think helped you stand out against other applicants when you're applying to your first job after Penn State? So any considerations for these students in the application process?
I can take this one. I feel like I did a lot of campus recruiting, so I saw a lot of resumes. Um, and it's really tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's really tough. I think your resume and your cover letter don't stand. I mean, do we still do cover letters? I don't even know. I haven't applied for a long time, but I never submitted cover letters. But from a resume perspective, it's really tough as a campus student to stand out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Internships really help. Um, the things that you do on campus really help. I know Patrick and I both did case competitions from an HR perspective. They were really helpful, I thought, not only in like kind of getting a little bit of like what it would be like in the market, but also you had something to kind of talk about, some real world experience. So internships and things on campus, I think are one way to stand out. But I saw students more stand out in their interviews and not in their resumes as much, right? And especially in like this like chat GBT world where, most of the time we're using some type of AI to help us put together a resume and we have all the buzzwords, right? The interviews really where I saw folks stand out more, and having those like unique experiences on campus and those internships are really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely echo that. For me, I think the interviews were kind of what sealed the deal for me for my first opportunity outside of Penn State. Essentially, I was brought to HQ here in Allentown, and they said, "Okay, you're going to interview with the entire HR leadership team back to back to back," which was insane and exhausting, but also really cool getting to meet and learn from a lot of different people. But what I did was going into those conversations, really doing my homework. So really understanding the company, its products, how it serves customers, right? And really trying to weave that into my interview. So thinking about the experiences that I've had, even if they're not HR related, right? So we've all had to deal with working on projects with teams, dealing with conflict resolutions, right? Things like that. How can you kind of weave that in to show how you can bring that skill to the HR field? I think the other thing I will say is do not discount at the end of the interview when the recruiter asks you, what questions do you have for me? That is the time to shine. What I'd recommend, don't ask about salary or vacation or anything like that. Wait till you get the offer. But at that point in time, ask them about, hey, I saw in the Wall Street Journal, you just announced this, whatever acquisition. How does HR play a role in helping to make that happen for the company? Hey, tell me some of the biggest challenges from a people standpoint that your company is facing. How does your team play a role in that? How could I step in day one and help contribute to solving that problem, right? Because at the end of the day, what they're looking for is what value can you come in and provide to help the department and help the company. So the more you kind of are able to showcase that, then they start seeing you in that chair in their mind, right? So that's the key. So you're almost kind of like speaking it into existence. So definitely my go-to is taking advantage of that Q&A part of the process.
One thing that I'll add, that wasn't mentioned, in terms of resume building is that definitely important to customize your resume to whatever industry that you're applying to. So if you're applying, you should have something specific for nonprofits, you should have something specific for, technology, for, medical field, whatever field or, industry that you're looking for, definitely tailor your resume to that because it's all going to look different. And one thing that I would suggest, yes, it's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it's super impactful and, is looking at the agency that you're applying to and researching their mission statement, seeing what they're doing, seeing what their values are, so that you can then embed that into your resume to say like, yes, like integrity is a skill set, it's one of our values at Congresso. And so that's certainly a skill set that, HR has to uphold. So making sure that you're really being diligent and doing your due diligence and research of the agencies that you're looking to and really have a passion for, applying and getting into the process to do your homework there.
This has been absolutely amazing. I feel like Danielle, we could talk to each one of them for an hour, but again, we know you're all busy. So there are so many questions in the Q&A. Thank you so much. This audience is absolutely awesome. And so if you didn't feel that your question was answered during this session, because some of them were pretty similar and we try to combine them, please email me directly at dmh136@psu.edu. Or Danielle Liddick, both of us. We can get in touch with the panelists after if that's okay with you all and see if there was a particular question that we didn't feel that we addressed during this time.
Okay, so since we are nearing the end of this very, very soon, if you each could perhaps provide just one last piece of advice. I know you provided so much, but if you could have one last piece of advice that you feel, as mentioned earlier, if it was advice that you received that was super helpful, or just advice that you've come up with along the way based off of your own experiences for students who are looking to pursue a career within this industry, what would that be? Just maybe do Patrick and then Aaron and Sarah like we did in the beginning?
Sure. Yeah. I think it may sound cliche, but just be curious, be willing to get outside your comfort zone. I think what's helped me and the people that I see who go far, whether in HR or any other function, frankly, at my workplace, are, if an opportunity arises, people willing to raise their hand and say, yeah, let me get, I might not, even if it's something I'm not 100% comfortable with, I'm willing to give it a shot. And I think I have something to contribute and I want to, prove myself here. And if those opportunities aren't happening, feel free to get your name out there and make it known. Because that was part of my story earlier when, I wasn't in the most exciting role. I had that candid conversation with my manager. There was I wanted to become an HR business partner, but there wasn't any positions available at that time. But my manager and we kind of started letting that known in the organization. Hey, Patrick's worked on A, B, and C. He's really interested in learning about HR business partner. We're going to set him up to network with these, senior leaders in that space. And oh, by the way, understand nothing's open now, but if something becomes available down the line, he's someone to keep in mind. And that kind of led me to my next role after that. So don't be afraid to keep learning and keep putting yourself out there.
Similarly, network is huge. I mean, the Penn State Alumni Association is one of the largest in the world. So even having that as a commonality with somebody, that you've, went to Penn State, is huge. Oftentimes in many fields, it's all about who you know. And so having some kind of person to at least say, hey, let me put you in touch with that individual, expanding your network is absolutely crucial. And, this is a starting place is fantastic for all of you. And so along the way, I would suggest that, you keep an open mind and be super receptive to feedback. don't be afraid to fail and fail forward. As long as you're taking that failure and turning it into a measure of growth, that's the best thing that you can do. And that's true for starting your career and even throughout your career journey.
I think it's just me left. I think for me, like the one thing that I wish I would have known in school that it's not okay. It's okay not to have everything figured out, right? Like I kind of had like this, like I'm very type A. I had this whole like 10-year plan of like I'm gonna do this, this, and this. And if you would have told me when I was at Penn State that this is the role that I would be in, or even that I was in like a consulting firm, I would have laughed at you. I was like anywhere but the big four. I want to go anywhere but there. So I think it really is keeping an open mind to the opportunities that come, that are available to you, and being okay with kind of the unknown, right? Like I still don't know where my career will be in 10 years. I have an idea of where I want to go. But I'm less stuck on kind of that end outcome than I probably was when I had my grad degree, and I'm more comfortable with that and think it'll be a better opportunity for me long term. A lot of the times we say like the role that we're going to end up in, it probably doesn't even exist yet. So, and that's kind of the exciting part about HR is you have the ability to flex into that.
Amazing. This panel absolutely flew by so quickly. We greatly appreciate all of this. To our panelists, a sincere and heartfelt thank you to each of you for taking the time to be with us today. We know how busy your schedules are. We are truly grateful that you chose to spend part of your day supporting our students. Your willingness to share your experiences from across the HR landscape, it just adds tremendous value to their understanding of the field. So thank you again for your time, for your expertise, and your commitment to supporting the next generation of HR professionals who will benefit so much from your example and your leadership. We are truly grateful. So thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.